The night was heavy with rain, the kind that turns neon lights into blurred streaks on the pavement. Inside a lonely roadside diner, Tiana wiped down the counter, her hands trembling more from exhaustion than fear. She'd been working 12 hours straight, dreaming only of a warm shower and a few hours of sleep before doing it all over again. Then came them. Three men stumbled through the door. Loud, drunk, and dangerous in that way some men get when they think the world belongs to them. Their laughter was harsh, slicing through the quiet diner like a knife. They didn't come for food, they came to feed on power. "Hey, girl," one slurred, his eyes crawling over her like grease. "Get your black ass over here and take our order." The air thickened. The two old customers in the corner froze mid-sip. The cook behind the counter looked down, pretending to scrub something that was already clean. Tiana forced a smile, clutching her notepad. "What'll it be tonight, sir?" she asked softly. "Oh, she's polite," another one sneered, grinning at his friends. "Didn't know y'all could be so well-mannered when you're not protesting." Their laughter was loud, cruel, and when she tried to turn away, one of them grabbed her wrist. Hard. "Don't walk away when I'm talking to you," he hissed. His fingers slid up her arm. Another reached around and tugged at her apron, grabbing her breast, pulling her close enough that she could smell the beer on his breath. She gasped, twisting, trying to break free, but the third man blocked her path, chuckling. "Relax, sweetheart. We're just having fun." That word stung worse than the grip on her skin. Her heart pounded in her chest, her mind screaming for someone, anyone, to help. But no one moved, just silence and shame thick enough to choke on. "Please," she whispered. "Let go." "Aw, look at her beg," one of them laughed, pressing closer. "Ain't she something? Can you imagine that? A whole room full of people and not a single soul brave enough to stand up." Just when Tiana thought she might break, the bell above the diner door jingled. A sound so small, but it carried the weight of salvation. Four bikers walked in, rain dripping from their jackets, boots thudding against the floor like thunder. They didn't say a word. They didn't have to. The harassers froze, their laughter faltering. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The moment those bikers stepped inside, the whole diner changed. The air, the silence, even the flickering lights, everything shifted like the universe itself just held its breath. Four men soaked in rain, leather jackets gleaming under the neon glare. They weren't smiling, they weren't talking, they just looked. And that look, it was enough. The biggest of them, tall, broad shoulders, beard dripping with rain, stared straight at the drunk grabbing Tiana's arm. His jaw flexed once. No words, no warning, just that quiet stare that said you've got 3 seconds to make a better choice. The man holding Tiana tried to play it off. "What? You lost, old man? This ain't your business." The biker stepped closer. His boots echoed like gunshots. "Oh," he said calmly, "it is now." The drunk laughed nervously. "We're just messing around, ain't that right, sweetheart?" He reached for Tiana again, but this time, the biker's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist midair. The sound of bones shifting filled the diner. "Don't," the biker said, voice low, dangerous. "Touch her again." The man yelped, stumbling back as the others stood up, chairs screeching. One of them shoved the biker's shoulder. "You think you can just walk in here and play hero?" Behind him, another biker rose slowly, cracking his knuckles. "We don't play hero," he said. "We just don't like cowards." The drunks froze. The cook peeked up from behind the counter, eyes wide. Tiana backed up, breathing hard. She wanted to thank them, to say something, but her voice was gone. "You okay, miss?" The first biker asked without taking his eyes off the men. She nodded weakly. "Yeah, I think so." "Good," he murmured. "Then you might want to look away. Can you feel that chill? The kind that comes right before justice hits?" The lead biker took one step forward. The drunk men took one back. "We didn't mean nothing," one stammered. "It was just a joke." "Yeah," the biker said, his lips curling into a half smile. "Real funny." The next sound was a table crashing, and that's when everything erupted. One of the drunks swung first, wild and sloppy. He never stood a chance. The biker caught his wrist and slammed him into the booth. The second man charged, but another biker drove his shoulder straight into his gut. The third backed away, mumbling something about not wanting trouble, but it was too late for that. Within seconds, it was over. Three bullies on the floor, groaning in defeat. Biker crouched beside them. You ever touch another woman like that? He said quietly. I'll make sure you're eating through a straw for the rest of your life. You understand me? No one dared answer. When they stood, the diner was silent again. But this time, it was the good kind of silence, the kind that follows justice finally served. As the bikers turned to leave, one of them paused at the counter and slid a 20 into the tip jar. For the mess, he said with a grin. But the real mess had already been cleaned, the kind that had nothing to do with spilled coffee or broken plates. The bell jingled as they stepped out into the rain. Engines roared to life one by one, deep and thunderous, echoing down the highway. Tiana leaned against the counter, breathing hard. Her apron was soaked, her hair a mess, but her heart steady, strong. She looked out the window at the glowing taillights fading into the dark and whispered, "Thank you." The cook said nothing. The old men stared. The world felt different now. Lighter, cleaner, like decency had finally won one. From that night forward, Tiana carried herself differently. Not because someone saved her, but because someone finally refused to look away. If this story touched your heart, don't just scroll away. Share it. Someone out there needs to remember that standing up for what's right still matters. Subscribe to Voices Unchained for more stories that remind the world what decency really looks like, because silence protects no one.